Cool. All right, guys. I think we have pretty good amount of attendees here. We're just going to get started. We're also going to record this and send it out afterwards too to share with everybody. So my name is Steven with Momentum Realty. We've been getting a lot of questions about COVID and how it's affecting the market. So we wanted to just kind of do this hour long. Ask me anything about the current market and what we're seeing as real estate professionals. I have with me Thomas Feng and Mike Ramos. So we're going to start off with Thomas is going to go over a quick market update. Going to be a quick update about what's going on right now and what we're seeing the market is performing at the moment. And then we're going to jump right into the questions you guys have submitted. And at any time, if you guys have questions, please utilize the chat function and we'll try to get through them as quickly as possible. All right, Thomas?
Perfect. Very cool. Thanks for jumping on the call with us, everybody. Glad to hear that everyone is safe, and we hope you continue to be that way. Definitely reach out to us at Momentum if we can help out with anything. Let me share my screen. I have a couple slides I would love to go over with you guys. Give me one sec. All right, awesome. So like Steven mentioned, we're with Side at Momentum Realty, and through this great brokerage, we tap into a lot of markets all over California and across the United States as well. And it's really given us a really good feeling of where the market is right now. So, there's a lot of uncertainty out there. We don't really know where the market is going. All of these are really just forecasts and what we're hearing. We don't really have a crystal ball either. A lot of the data that we're going to be looking into is kind of pulled from, the past markets, looking back through history and seeing how that might affect the Bay Area market in the future. So obviously a lot of people are concerned. A lot of people are worried about housing. And, there's a couple of things going on in the Bay Area. 3 reasons to have hope about housing is it's definitely fared better than the overall economy during prior pandemics and recessions. One of the good things about housing is everyone has to live somewhere. So you're either paying rent or you're paying a mortgage. It's very different from other investments. Actually, real estate traditionally is not really an investment. It's really for people to live in. And that's why overall, during recessions and pandemics, housing really stands strong. Preliminary results, they still haven't been as bad as people are thinking it could be, but that's always why the uncertainty is there, the fear. And we've only recently gotten into this COVID pandemic. A lot of times real estate deals take about 30 days to close. So even though the data we have right now is very relevant, we won't really know how the market is probably until a month or 2 into it. And also before COVID-19, the housing market, especially in the Bay Area, was super, super strong. So here's a graph. It kind of shows you recently, since 2000, in 01, we had 9/11 and the dot-com bust. 2008 and 9, we had that Great Recession. But we've seen that over this period, buying power has greatly increased. Part of that is the low interest rates. And as you see on this chart, it goes up to 450,000. This is for the whole America, not just California. And so buying power has increased, wages have increased, jobs have increased as well. And we do see that the market trends is during the recession, it will definitely go down. But if we look across the numbers, housing has remained very steady, so that's good. How this might differ from the 2008 crash, which was a very big crash, is real estate always adjusts. It takes about 6 to 10 years, but it does adjust. This time, we are in a much better position because back in 2008, the market was definitely overbuilt. Homes were way overvalued in 2008, but now they are reasonably valued. Right now, about 50% of homeowners have at least 20 to 30% equity in their homes built up, while in 2008, lenders were giving money for people that just put down their information without any money down, so no equity, which led to a lot of short sales and foreclosures once things started going wrong. Loans now are also much harder to get, which makes them higher quality. And some of the things that we're going to be waiting for to really get out of this situation is, how long is the shelter in place going to last? How are businesses going to survive? And really, how many jobs are out there? So that's where the history is a little bit about the housing market in the Bay Area and talking about recovery or how we are going to get out of this. So the shelter in place came into effect March 17th. And after that time, the number of new listings and pendings have dropped 60%. Sale prices are trending down, and then the days on market are increasing a little. All of these things are, I think, pretty acceptable, things that we expected to see happen. Prior to COVID, coming out of the new year, Santa Clara County, we actually saw a huge rise in the median price, 10%. And since the shelter in place has hit, the median price has pulled back about 4 to 10%. During this time, you'll see it in the next graph, we were coming out of a very strong market. Things all looked to be good. Actually, coming out of December, the market was red hot. We were getting maybe 5 to 10 offers, even more than that on specific properties, and homes were on trending up. This shows you kind of where the housing market has gone for the San Francisco Bay Area since the 1980s. We've been through a couple of recessions. You'll see in the middle, the dot-com 9/11, 2008, 2011, the crazy recession, and 2018, 2019 here. We were growing for the last couple of years. Something that people have been comparing this pandemic to is the 9/11 and the dot-com crash. At that time, a lot of things happened that just came out of nowhere. Versus 2008, the recession hit a lot harder because of a lot of things wrong with the economy. This chart shows some data about China. So this is interesting in the fact that we see Lunar New Year's. That's really when businesses shut down in China, also in Taiwan for about 2 weeks. It's the largest holiday over there. And then prior to that, in December, that's when the coronavirus kind of started. So we saw sales were still happening. They stopped during Lunar Day, but then they continued to go. Now, these are in the previous years. So the good news is homes have started to sell in China. Real estate is starting to move again. And I think it really depends on when the shelter in place ends. Once people are able to get in and out to start seeing homes again, I think the market will bounce back very fast, probably have a drop of 4 to 10%, which is kind of what we saw during that 9/11 time as well.
Great. Yeah, we're going to transition to some of the questions that we got ahead of time. And if you guys have any additional questions, again, feel free to use the chat function and ask us anything. So.
All right, cool. Did you want to go for some, Steven, or should I? And it's happy hour, everyone. So.
Cheers.
Cheers. I'm just going to name up some questions and we can kind of answer them together. So the main question, in addition to what Thomas spoke about earlier, is what everybody wants to know is how is COVID affecting the current market, and kind of just in our own terms, how we see the current market right now, and how is it? What are you guys seeing and observing out in the field?
Okay, cool. I guess I'll go first in regards to that question of how it's affecting the current market. I would say it really depends locally where exactly you're at. I would say here in the South Bay, Santa Clara County, in the peninsula, we haven't seen too much change in pricing. More or less, like Thomas said, this year we were seeing 10, 15, 20 offers on properties. Depending on how the properties price now, we may see no offers, and we still may see anywhere between 2 to 5 offers on the properties. So I would say for more or less in San Jose, prices have remained flat. I know the median price has come down a little bit, but we aren't seeing any fire selling of properties here. So at least as of now, South Bay has been strong. When it comes to the East Bay, Alameda County, we've seen prices already drop about 5%. It may go down another 5 to 7. Other places like Santa Cruz County, we've seen pricing already drop between 7 to 10%, just based on where the sales and offers that we've written. Since COVID's actually been in place, I would say as a team, we've probably written about 35 offers since we've been COVID. We currently have about 12 in contract right now. So we definitely see between each county and area what the competition's like because we're out there every day. So pretty much South Bay, I would say prices are flat for now. We did see a correction in the East Bay and also in Santa Cruz and some other areas. And just to recap what Thomas and Steven said, it really depends on how fast we get back to life. I think the sooner we get back to life, the sooner our prices will start picking up here. In the South Bay may not be affected, but it really depends how long we're going to be sheltered in place.
Yeah. So just to add, I think a lot of the confusion happened when shelter in place first got into effect, and there was a lot of confusion around, can we still sell real estate? Can people still look at homes? And as the state and the counties have clarified our roles during this time, I think in the last couple of weeks, I've seen more and more inquiries come our way in terms of, looking for homes and purchasing and selling. So I think as we go further into shelter in place or just kind of this whole situation, our roles are being more clarified, and it's allowing people to get answers quicker, I think. So I think that's really helping the process right now. Yeah. Thomas, you have anything?
For me personally, a lot of my buyers that were in the market starting January, they kind of took a break. They took a pause with the shelter in place because they had to. Things are changing now to where we are able to show homes again. But during that time, that first 2 weeks, a couple of people kind of took a break. But we've been noticing increased buyer traffic, people inquiring on our portal sites like Redfin, Zillow, things like that. And a lot of those new buyers that have come into this market recently have been interested in still seeing homes again. So I think right now, the most important thing is when are we going to get out? Just to be realistic about it, a lot of the people possibly that were in the market or are in the market still have their jobs. They're still working at home. It really depends on when can they go out there to buy and sell, I think is the biggest thing.
Yeah, I mean, especially in the Bay Area where we live, the national news is doesn't apply 100% to our area here. It's unfortunate to say, but the realistic scenario is most people in the Bay Area have white collar jobs, and people who are purchasing homes are pretty much okay right now, and they're able to work from home. So we're not seeing a lot of unemployment issues affect home buying right now. And I do want to point out that we're not seeing 10, 20 offers per home, but we are seeing competitive offers. And I think what I've been trying to tell a lot of people who are looking for homes is right now you're basically competing with serious home buyers. In the past, you can just go out and look at open houses and kind of mess around. But right now, in order to see homes, you're basically partnering up with your agent closer, and so the whole process is a little bit more important and more intimate. So a lot of people who are putting offers on are basically serious home buyers, and people who aren't really messing around right now, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I guess let me tack on to what Steven said. There was a point where we were non-essential, so essentially we were not allowed to show homes. But now there are certain restrictions. We are allowed to show properties if a virtual tour is not available. If it is vacant, there can only be 2 people of the same household in the home. We absolutely need to wear mask, glove, booties, and then also we need to sign a a warning form before we go in. So like Steven said, there's still buyers, but the ones that are still around are pretty serious. But that is still how we are able to show properties now.
Yeah. Cool. Let's take some live questions here. We're getting a bunch of questions in the chat right now. One's from Johnny Tung. Are you seeing multiple offers, more or less, than before the virus? And what do you think rebound will look like, and over what time frame?
Thomas or Steven,
Yes.
would you guys like to answer that?
I mean, just so before shelter in place,
Sure,
the market was extremely hot. So from, I'd say, just end of December to right up until shelter in place, the market was pretty hot. We were getting a lot of competition. It was normal to see 15, 20 offers again. And for me, as we got into shelter in place, we're still getting multiple offers, not 10, 15, but maybe 5. And again, like I said earlier, I just feel the competition level is a little bit higher in that, again, you're dealing with other serious buyers and not people who haven't been looking for a while. So, and then the rebound, probably Mike would probably answer that one better, huh? Do you have a rebound outlook?
Let me see. Into whose question was that, so I can reference it?
Johnny's.
Johnny. What do you think the rebound will look like over what time frame? So yeah, we've been on a lot of calls. We talked to so many economists. I've been on multiple calls with Chase Private Banking. More or less, we're hearing the same thing. Obviously Q2, everyone's taking a big hit. Q3 will be half recovered, but pretty much they expect GDP and the full economy recovery by Q4. So that's kind of what we're looking like. I think the market's more or less as soft as it's going to be for now. But we definitely think by Q4, everything's going to be rebounded to what we were pre-COVID. So I think it's going to be pretty quick. Also with low interest rates, we still historically low inventory. A lot of the new construction had to stop building because of this. So that's also going to lower inventory even more. So I do strongly believe once we get to Q4, everything will be rebounded. I think the market will be pretty strong moving forward out of that.
Okay. Awesome. Next question is from Sean. We just closed on our 4th rental during the virus, and I'm concerned what will happen with rentals. I personally don't have a lot of experience with rentals, but I don't know if you guys have any input.
I do. I have a lot of experience with that. I guess it really depends on who's your tenant, who's your demographic, and are they willing to pay you or not. I think a lot of landlords that I know did have some issues with collecting rent if they had some tenants that weren't able to pay. Right now, there's a big moratorium across the board. Like the courts aren't even open. So even if you wanted to evict somebody, you're kind of out. I think if you have a good tenant that has good credit, good, values their credit, likes where they live, they will probably still pay you and do what they can. Because at the end of the day, they could take advantage of the system, but after a couple months they're out. But I do feel there will be a really big backlog at the courts, because obviously they're pretty much shut down completely for this whole time, and then there's going to be a backlog of evictions. So it could be rough for some people that have tenants that aren't willing to pay. What I would recommend is to, if you do have tenants that are in that bracket of people that were laid off, like Steven, whether it be in the service industry or what have you, I would probably try to work out a deal with them. Because right now the tenant laws and rights are pretty much depending whether it's San Francisco or the South Bay, but on a worst case scenario, they could probably stay in your home for at least 6 months, 9 months easily without paying anything. So what we're seeing for any landlords that are having trouble, what they're trying to do is, offer them, hey, look, we're not going to do your credit. You have a bona fide reason. If you get back on your feet, we'll work out a payment plan, or, they're just kind of letting them out of their lease and start fresh somewhere new, so they can find a more higher qualified tenant. But as a total valid concern, I think more so of pre-existing tenants that aren't able to pay. Because for me, when our clients rent out homes, we always take first month, last month, usually a full month for deposit. So I think anyone that's renting now in today's market, if they could already pay first and last month, that's already, 2/3 of the battle. So I think placing in new tenants, you should be relatively safe in terms of fear of collecting rent. But if you have tenants that already been renting and can't pay, then it might hurt a little bit for you.
All right. Well, thanks for answering that. Next question from Carissa. A common fear is that we purchase a home and then a crash could happen soon after and the price of the home goes down. Is this something that we should be worried about in San Jose? Understood that it's very difficult to make predictions, but any thoughts or suggestions if we're buying.
You want to? I'll add on to either you or Thomas.
But yeah, a lot of what we're basing, I think, a lot of our knowledge on is that the momentum that we're seeing during shelter in place and the willingness of people that want to buy homes during this time is basically a good indication of the future. COVID-19 may incite a recession in the future, but it's not necessarily a recession like 2008. So it really depends on, how we get out of COVID-19. But again, San Jose, Silicon Valley, I still stand by my statement earlier. A lot of people here have white-collar jobs, a lot of tech jobs, and a lot of people are still able to do their jobs from home. And we're blessed and grateful that we have those type of jobs here. So I feel there's not a lot of layoffs in this area, projected. So I feel like it's still going to give us a strong kind of regional economy going forward.
Yeah, I definitely think there's going to be a slowdown, just worldwide for everything. People might not be getting fired or laid off as much in these tech jobs, but it's still going to be a slowdown. Products are not going to be selling. But I think prices are definitely going to drop. It could be, similar to that 2001, about 4 to 10%. But this is what we see in real estate regardless. Anyways, there's always a transition. The market comes to a certain point and, just balancing of both sides. But there's definitely a lot of fear and definitely a lot of uncertainty. But that's always where money is to be made, right? Working for real estate for so long, we always do these open houses and people always come in, they say, these homes are priced too high. These homes are priced too high. They always say, we want to buy it at a discount. But then once we get to a discount, we always hear the same thing. It's too risky. So it always just depends on your personal situation, right? Right now, if you're in the position to buy, I think it's a good time to buy. And we don't know what's going to go with the future, but these are some of the trends that we've been seeing. And I think it's not too bad. So that's good.
All right, cool. And then if you don't mind, I'll add on to that. Well, I guess there's a couple other questions in terms of common fare after we push. I don't see a crash. I just don't. I mean, back in 2008, people were making $8 an hour and they're still giving you a loan for $1 million. You could state you're making any type of money. If you guys saw the movie The Big Short, it's actually pretty true. There were some lenders that basically, they would have a bank account with $1 million. They would put your name on it and wow, magically you have $1 million in assets. And now you could buy a property that you should never afford. So I, with a doubt, do not see a big crash. I bought a property in 2018. I also bought a property in December of 19. There's no way I would still be buying property one a year every year if I really felt there's a crash. For Carissa, if you don't own a home, something to consider. Like Thomas said, we're all depending how soon we get out, as of right now, prices pretty much remain stable. It may go down roughly 4 to 8%, 10% max. However, there's a lot of variables in that. Also, too, the data always comes out later. So you never know. Right now, there could be some sellers that are willing to take a lower price that you can get a good deal on, but it takes some time to close the transaction. The data is always changed year over year, month over month, which usually comes out 2 to 3 months later after the fact. So by the time that data hits, you already passed the bottom. You're already too late. So it's really hard to, time the exact bottom. But I think, within the next, I would say 2 to 4 months is a pretty good window. Another thing too, with that being said, I'm very conservative myself. When I bought my first property, the market was going, well, one of my primaries recently, I've been buying properties over the last 10 years. My biggest thing was, how much am I paying to rent compared to mortgage, right? So in 2015, I was paying about $4,000 a month in rent, and I was looking to buy an $800,000 property. Well, the way I looked at it was, if the market goes down, like I said, I do not believe in a crash. So even if the market went down 10% in 2 years, that's about $80,000 I lost on the home. However, I was already paying $4,000 a month in rent. So over 2 years, I still would have lost that same $80,000. Well, it would have been $96,000. But I wouldn't be any worse than if I bought something. So I think even if you buy buy something, systematically, you work with one of us on our team, we negotiate the best possible deal. Even if the market does go down, I think you're hedging against rent, and rent prices have been pretty consistent. So I don't think you'll actually lose. But one other thing too is, are you buying this house to actually live in for a while, or you're buying it to try to flip it in 2 months? Because if prices go down for a little bit, you only lose if you sell. But if you still need a place to live, and you're maybe moving 5 years, 10 years, turning into a rental or flipping it out then for your equity, it doesn't really matter if it goes down a little bit for a month or two. But as long as you know that, hey, you've bought around the window, I think you'll do fine. But to go back on that, I do not foresee a crash by any means. Like I said, I would have not bought another property in December. I actually wrote another offer on a property the other day. So, I like to be an example of my actions, not just my words. So at least, by what I'm actually doing, it's, I truly believe in it. Otherwise, I wouldn't make those purchases and also be making more offers. So sorry, that was kind of a long-winded answer, but I don't think you have much to worry about if you were to get into something in the next couple of months.
Yeah, no, I think it's important to note that if you ask majority of homeowners why they buy homes, investment is not the top priority, right? A lot of times people buy homes to have, just a place to live, right? Especially now with COVID-19, it's changing our perceptions of how we view the home. It's more than just a house. It's a place that, you got to shelter in place in. It's a place where you got to do your work. It's a place where you got to raise your kids, right? And for a lot of people, who have homes right now are probably very grateful that they actually own something versus, living inside an apartment or something. All right, the next question from Akush. Any specific areas in California where you think is a good time to invest for long-term rental and appreciation? Anyone?
If no one else, I'll jump in briefly.
Go for it.
So pretty much right now, I would put my bet on downtown. Typically downtown life is a little bit different from the suburbs. However, there's so much growth between Google, Apple's got land in North San Jose, BART's coming in. I know they're looking at the high-speed rail. I've been to a lot of the neighborhood community workshops. There's so much growth in downtown. There's more jobs. Adobe's building an even bigger tower. So if you ask me, I think downtown will grow a lot. Not sure it'll quite be on the same level as Mountain View, but I think it'll get pretty close once all the tech and jobs move in. I think it'll be a really big shift. So if I were to bet on an overall decent rental, decent appreciation, I would bank on downtown more or less. I think if you were to go anywhere else, like Oakland, Richmond, Hayward, or Sacramento, the Oakland, you may get some better, cash on cash return, cash flow. However, the closer you are to the jobs, the more things appreciate. And also at times of uncertainty when the market is soft, the closer you're to the jobs, the faster it bounces back. So I'm sure if you noticed in the last recession, 2008, Cupertino, Palo Alto, those bounced back like immediately. So that's something that you may want to consider. So I would bet on downtown.
Nice. Yeah, I'd probably have to agree. The main thing that we learned from the 2008 crash was, that was the time a lot of people started buying further and further out in Tracy, Mountain House, Las Vegas. And a lot of those places are just kind of returning now. So, it's always good to buy closer to the center of all the jobs. You have anything to say about that, Thomas? Or?
No, I think those are pretty good suggestions. I mean, it's definitely hard to forecast, but in terms of, where we see potential just in our surrounding areas, I think downtown's really great. A lot of opportunity zones over there. That's definitely a much bigger purchase, but things are definitely going to be growing over there, which is good and bad. I mean, if it's for an investment, I think it's great. If you're going to be living there, you definitely have to like being in downtown in a busier area. So it just depends.
Yeah. Cool. Next question is, will COVID-19 in the Bay Area housing market have any effect on the neighboring markets, for example, Sacramento, Modesto, and Hollister? My take on that is, I, in terms of people going to those areas, I don't think so. I think, I actually think Sacramento, Modesto, and Hollister will probably go down a little bit. I think they were experiencing a good surge the last year because our prices were so high. But like I said, like we said earlier to the other question about which areas are good for appreciation. I mean, the closer you are to the epicenter of jobs, the better your value is. So I don't see positive influences in those areas, so to speak.
I agree. I think a lot of people, the reason a lot of people were buying in those areas because the prices were lower, but everyone's kind of on the same boat, meaning Bay Area prices they could change, which means those areas could change too. It just depends, I think, about affordability. Unless, you want to live in those areas, unless your jobs are over there, then, it could definitely go up too.
And how will the market look like if there are more foreclosures by the end of the year? Will there be opportunities for investments?
Yeah, so back to what I said earlier, your best time for investment is, the next 2 to 4 months. There will be some people that are landlords that are running too tight. They don't have enough margins. They can't afford 3 months without a tenant paying rent. So I do think there will be some desire of some people that need to offload properties. I don't think that necessarily means there'll be a foreclosure. Because if I look at my data right, 70% of people have 50% equity or more total in basically Santa Clara County, which is huge. So there won't, people are not upside down. There won't be foreclosures. They could take a hit. In terms of foreclosures, I don't think there will be that many. The banks will not lose that war again. They just won't. They're offering a lot of forbearance where basically they could skip making payments between anywhere from 3 to 12 months. And then from there, they're probably more interested in the owner of the loan, would have to do either like a loan modification or payment plan. So what the banks are willing to do now is they'll take those missed payments and let you add those in over next so many payments, or they're going to add it at the end of your loan. So I could tell you this, I do not see a big surge in foreclosures. Banks will not lose that war again. And I think you guys seen it online itself. It's everywhere. Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, they're all doing forbearance. They're going to do loan mods. It's just not going to happen, unfortunately. Trust me, I would love for it to happen because I would buy anything and everything. I would probably sell my kidneys and one of my lungs, and maybe not my son because that's priceless, but I would love for a crash and to buy as many properties as possible, but I just don't see that happening again. And then just the part B, yeah, same thing for Sean. Like we said, all markets should be returned back to normal by quarter 4. So just to jump in on that one real quick.
Okay, cool. Thanks for that. I know that back in 2008, 2012, you did a lot of short sales, right?
Yeah. I was short sale certified distress expert, foreclosure certified, half a certified. I even sold a couple REOs for the bank. So I've been on both sides of all the transactions.
What is the leading indicator we should watch for to determine when real estate has bottomed? I mean, you guys were around during the last crash. I was doing this back then. So was there anything that stood out to you guys, when things were coming back or things were at the bottom?
I mean, I think the best suggestion is the same suggestion as always. When you don't know something, you talk to an expert. And like Mike was talking about, unfortunately in real estate, it does take time for a home to close, 30 days. So that offer that you offered then, prices have changed. And also, it's really hard to time the bottom because, if that bottom happened, you wouldn't be aware unless you were also submitting offers at that time.
Same thing for the top. You don't know if you pass. You don't know you're at the top or the bottom until you pass it.
Exactly. So just keep in touch with us, and we get so much market data in terms of the buyers that we're working with, the offers that we're submitting. Also, with Side, we work with so many top represented people. We have a quarterly, monthly meetings just to have a pulse on the market, and that's really the value that we're trying to bring to you guys to really show you, is the market good for you to jump in? And it's not always about the bottom. It's always about your goals. How are we going to reach your goals? If we bought from if we bought at a price which is bottom plus 10,000, is that going to kill you, or do you just want to get in at a good time? Talk to us, we'll really show you where the market's at.
Yeah, and another example of that is currently right now, a lot of people are watching the number of listings on the market and seeing how the active listings are decreasing. But one important thing that the public may not see is that we're getting a ton of off-market listings on a daily basis. The off-market sector right now is blowing up at an exponential rate, and a lot of these sellers, because of the uncertainty, they're listing their homes off-market. And what is off-market is just basically listing a home but not putting it live onto the MLS and Zillow and whatnot. So it's just kind of word of mouth, going through top agent networks and kind of just who you know at that point. So even though we're seeing a smaller percentage of homes going on the market on a weekly basis, we're seeing a ton of homes off market right now. So if anyone's looking, make sure you reach out to your agent and we can send you weekly off market listings. We're gonna kind of take a break off to investment questions right now. I think we've answered a lot of those questions already. I'm gonna go back to some of the pre-registered questions. A lot of the questions were kind of around, do we think the home prices will be cheaper in the fall? A lot of people are kind of waiting to see where prices will go. And I've been getting a lot of questions on the pre-registration questions, as well as in person. People are asking if we think prices will be cheaper in the fall, or will it stay the same, or will it go up? What are you guys seeing?
So in terms of pricing, we've already seen that this month was higher than February, which was March was higher than February. Also, prices in March were higher than they were in March of last year. So the market has been strong prior to COVID. Right now, it's hard to say if fall will be higher or cheaper. A lot of the times when these homes sell for crazy amounts over list price, it's really due to the amount of traffic and the amount of competition. And that's really the issue right now. Let's say nothing changes, but we get into fall and no one goes out to see these homes. There's no one competing, no one bidding these prices up. Then I think the prices could be lower. But once people really get out there, they start seeing the homes and we get multiple offers, we're able to negotiate for our sellers. I don't think prices necessarily will drop during that time.
Again, a lot of it is based on what we're seeing currently, and these current activities kind of give us a lot of confidence that if COVID and shelter-in-place gets lifted, even by August, we're going to have a strong following quarter. So even right now, for the homes that are being bid on, people are still putting, believe it or not, non-contingent offers even without seeing the house. So that's basically as competitive as it gets right now. All right. Mike, you have anything to add up on that, or?
Yeah, no, I guess, like I said, because fall's getting closer to Q4. So I really believe literally the next 2 months are the best time. And like Steven said, I feel like here's the biggest, I guess, a two-part adding on to it. For example, if you take some of the Midwest states, people are saying, oh, aren't all these properties going to flood the market when COVID's lifted? But look about other states where it snows, like Minnesota, South Dakota. January, February, they essentially have no listings. And then you come to March, there's a slew of listings, but there's also a lot of buyer demand that's waiting. So right now, what we don't know is we do see a decent amount of buyers more or less kind of lowballing, trying to see what kind of deal or opportunity they could get. Then we have a couple buyers that are saying, hey, when the market was going really crazy this year, when things were selling 100K over asking with no contingencies to all cash buyer, and I only have 10% down or 5% down, those buyers are going, hey, prices stop going up. They're pretty much flat. I mean, I'm going to get a fair price. I don't have to go crazy and give up all my money and all my terms. They're seeing opportunity to just even get their foot in the door here right now. So that's the thing about the Bay Area. it's not even about price. It's also about your terms and how strong you are. So, we do see a lot of people that are like, hey, I'm trying to get in. So it's more of a balance when COVID's lifted, how many properties are going to hit the market. And then all these buyers now, people still need a place to live. We're still short homes. There's a lot of buyers that are lowballing right now, thinking to get a deal. But if those buyers lowball for, let's say, 2, 3, 4 weeks straight, and they still can't get a property, two things are going to happen. They're going to quit looking, or they're going to come back and say, hey, I can't actually lowball a property. The competition's too tough, and they're actually going to turn into a real buyer. So that's the question. How long are we staying in COVID versus how long, people think they could get a screaming deal? There are still some deals to be had, absolutely. But, are those buyers going to convert to more serious buyers versus the inventory? So those are all the variables that we're bouncing around. So I think when we get out, I think, things will probably be pretty strong. But, obviously, there's stuff changing daily.
Yeah, and I think it's about also setting the proper expectations. For example, I think a lot of people who are starting to jump in right now don't understand that getting a deal is basically getting a home without competition. A lot of our buyers who were placing offers from December to March, they were getting outbid, by 15, 20 offers on a normal basis. And then once all this hit, they're able to get into the house without competition. So it's just kind of, you gotta have the right proper expectations going into it. I think a lot of people are trying to echo 2008 and all that, and it's just not happening right now. So I always tell a lot of my clients, getting a deal right now is basically getting something at value. You're not going to be able to lowball the market 10 to 15% right now, unless something drastic happens. But in the near future, we don't see that happening. Just kind of process around how are deals happening right now, in this environment, with shelters in place and the inability to see homes and whatnot. How are we still selling and showing homes and getting all that done? So I'll start off just by saying, during the last couple of weeks, the counties and the state have cleared up a lot of what is essential and what is not. So that's kind of opened up the door to realtors showing homes again. But again, it's definitely a case-by-case basis. If the home is owner occupied, definitely case-by-case basis, and that some owners are open to showing their homes and some owners are not open to it. So it kind of really depends on what you guys want to see. So that's why we keep saying that the market right now is basically run by serious home buyers who are working closely with their realtors and trying to figure out that process. And also banks and title companies are all working right now too. So all loans are being processed and all closings are going as scheduled.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the county has definitely done a really good job in notifying everybody and staying on top of it, reclassifying realtors and all these essential services related to home buying process. And a lot of the titles and lenders, they've been working around the clock to accommodate and think of ways where we are still able to keep the economy moving, because that's the most important thing right now. So things are still possible. Definitely talk to your realtor, Steven, Mike, or myself. Right now, a lot of people are doing virtual showings. A lot of sellers are doing that as well. They're getting 3D scans of their home done. In that way, we can really adapt to these times.
Mike, what are your personal experiences during this time, and how are you helping your clients navigate this process?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's just been a little bit different. At least for the new clients, we're doing some virtual consults instead of over coffee. Kind of sad because I really love meeting for coffee or boba, getting to know people. So we've been kind of doing that. It's a lot of precaution. We got a lot of people, all of us on our team. For our listings, we're super safe. We're following the rules. We got, the gloves, all the PPE. Same thing for our buyers. We want to make sure that whether we're representing a seller or buyer, when we're going out to show the property, we have the most care and the most protection for everybody to, also help the pandemic, and then also make sure everybody's safe. So that's the first and foremost important thing. So, I mean, hey, life's changed a little bit. The process has changed a little bit. Things aren't as easy, even on a vacant property. we still have to set an appointment because they have to make sure there's no overlap with anybody else. So, and with that being said, it's our job to still make the process as smooth and simple as possible for you. So there's just a lot more work now on our back end that we take care of to, like I said, make your life simpler. But, hey, it is what it is. I don't care what the rules are. I just want to know so we know how to play. And that's just kind of what we're doing with our clients now. Nothing is easy before. You could call us and, hey, if we happen to have a free afternoon and the home's vacant, boom, we're shooting over there. Now, the same day showings are almost virtually impossible. You need to submit to the seller proof of funds. You need to sign the COVID property entry form. There's a lot more moving parts. So I wouldn't say anything's slow now, but compared to how instant things were before, it's no longer instant. There's a lot of jumps and hurdles we have to get through to make things happen, but we're definitely making it happen.
Yeah, I definitely feel the process is just takes a little bit more time. So when someone inquires about a property, it usually takes a couple more days to actually get into the property versus just going in there right away. So I think that's just gonna. I think that's a little bit better for the buyer. They're not as rushed to make a decision right away. Sometimes in the past, you see a home and you gotta make an offer the next hour, right? So
it's like a breath of fresh air, kind of.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. We got a hand raised by Elizabeth Chen. I'm going to do the talk again. Let's see if it works.
Cool.
Hey, Elizabeth.
Hi, my name's Liz, and I'm an
Hi, Liz.
undergraduate student at UCI. From what I understand, you guys all work in a team, correct?
Yeah.
So what my question is how does working in a team differ from being like a solo agent? Like, what are like the pros and cons?
Sure. Thanks. Way more pros. Okay. Here, Mike, I'll let you take this one. Mike's actually he started Momentum Realty and he recruited all of us to join him. So be a good segue.
Yeah, so every team is a little bit different. We're more of a teamerage than so much just a team. We support each other. I see everyone on my team kind of as partners. I don't really see anyone, as if below me or working for me. But collectively, we all have the same mindset. We're all in this together. We want to help each other. And we know that as a team, we can help more people and do a better job than trying to do it individually. Plus, we have a lot of support. I know some people's concern is, hey, what if my agent goes on vacation or they're sick? Who's going to cover? Because, typically in agents, it's not really a friendly environment between other agents. So the good thing about our teamerage is, we kind of have everyone's back. We're there to support. And then we could obviously, with all of our back end, we can execute things a lot faster. So for us, I would feel that a teamerage really has the best of both worlds. I don't really see too many shortcomings of a teamerage. Now, a normal team, there could be some shortcomings. You may only be a showing agent. You may only have certain roles and not have much flexibility or able to get things done quickly. There's a lot of chain of command. Things might take longer. So, those are some of the general drawbacks of a team. But, I don't know if Steven or Thomas want to add anything else.
Yeah, so for me, the most beneficial aspect is basically being able to talk to other realtors that you trust full time and just getting real time information from each other constantly and just sharing, what we're seeing in the market on a daily basis. So that's extremely helpful versus someone who's by themselves. They kind of just do it on their own. And they may get information from other realtors, weekly or monthly if they join, masterminds or other realtor functions. And also just support, like being a part of a team. You're not the bottleneck, so you have other people there to help you out in terms of like setting up showings and getting listings ready and all that stuff. So it's just more resources and I guess more knowledge as it's getting passed around and shared. So there's not necessarily a bottleneck. So.
Hey, Liz, Zot, good to see you on our call. So, teams, it's really more of a collaboration. You're able to bounce ideas off each other. And just really have a better pulse on the market. Now, if you're in an office where it's a lot of stuff going on, you're always tapped in there, that could be good as well. Steven and Mike, they didn't really mention any negatives, and I don't think there's too many negatives with teams. Obviously, there are sometimes politics. One thing is there's always a split if you're on a team, unless you're the team leader, but it is what it is. You're going to find that anywhere you work in real estate, and it just comes down to value. There's nothing free in life, and it just depends on what you're getting from the brokerage. If you're getting opportunities, it's always going to make up for that. And, it's always better to make 75% of something versus 100% of nothing. So it's always good to interview the team, find out how much business they do, what they would be doing to help you, and then go from there.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Thank you.
I wish I was in the snow right now.
Yeah.
Cool background.
Awesome. So I think we're going to wrap up here. Do you guys want to have any last comments about just COVID-19 overall market and just, your last thoughts on the whole situation?
I'll go first. I think right now it's just, this was really just checking in with some of our friends, family, past clients, buyers, things like that. I think it's just important right now to stay safe and, just be conscious of what is out there, but at the same time, talk to your realtor and, just stay updated on the market. And that's part of also what we do. We reach out to, people. That's how we have people on our call right now, just to let them know where the market's at, how it could be beneficial to them, and really just finding out their goals and keeping in touch.
Mike?
I don't know how much more to add.
All right, cool. So we'll hope you guys enjoyed the whole webinar. We're actually, we haven't recorded, so we'll cut it up and send it out to everybody who was on the call. And feel free to reach out to us anytime. We appreciate all the questions, and we'll probably do it again soon.
Thanks, guys. Good seeing you.
Thank you all.
Thanks, guys.
Have a
Appreciate
good
it.
rest of your evening.
Stay safe.
Cheers.
Have a good one.